I think we've all heard of the Cookie Monster on the ice. Yeah, that's the guy that goes up to the referee and says, "Hey, I touched that puck looking for an extra assist." Well, if you're wondering who the Cookie Monster is in the studio, it's me. And it's because I'm not into dainty cookies. And if you're not into dainty cookies, T-Rex Cookie is for you. They're all baked right here in Minnesota, and T-Rex Cookie brings you local flavor that can't be beat. Whether you're at Xcel Energy Center or grabbing a frozen dough pack from Cub Foods, you're supporting homegrown goodness. Enjoy the game with a T-Rex cookie. This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast. Did you guys see this? This is unbelievable. What is that all about, Kinger?
Get in here for the real thing. Like, let's get weird.
Maybe I blacked out trying to figure out what was going on.
Doubt, worry, fear, because that's what we're breaking the mold on here.
Welcome to Wild on 7th, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
Welcome back to Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast. I'm Ryan Carter with my man John King here. This is all brought to you by our friends at Pilot Games. Yeah, you know what? I don't know about you, Kinger, but this Thursday I might be out hitting the town, might be at maybe a pub, a bar, someplace downtown St. Paul on 7th Street. It's one of the best days of the year. Grab yourself a drink, you might watch some hockey, and you grab yourself a Pilot Games tablet. Because, heck, you don't know. You could win, and that could change the trajectory of your day. And while you're playing, your community also wins.
It's a win-win.
This is a true win-win.
And if you went to all the games that day, it could be a win-win-win-win-win-win.
That's
a long day.
Starting to sound like a good day.
That sounds like until the next morning. But are you going to do it proper? Are you going to the double session, the whole thing, kissing babies, shaking hands, being a part of the experience of the state tournament?
So my experience with the state tournament is a couple of times I've been free, and it seems like we're in a hurry to get downtown St. Paul because you kind of got to post up and kind of get your spot early. So there's a group chat going now.
I don't agree with that, actually.
If you're going to sit at the pub or at the bar, you got to get there early, have your breakfast. Otherwise, you might be waiting forever.
I think breakfast local, you're going to want to go to like Jimmy's to start in White Bear, then go down to St. Paul, and then you got to have a reservation between games, maybe to Gidio's, some sort of scenario like that. That's just a different way to play it. Less
totally
pressure,
different.
Less anxiety, close to home, get started, Uber down. You know what I'm saying?
I think our group likes the chase.
Okay.
Get down there, get breakfast.
Elbows out.
Yeah, like where are we going? Are we at this spot? We at that spot? Get mobile, text your buddies. Where's everybody at? You got room. But no, it's an exciting time of year. The state high school hockey tournament is like nothing else, and it's fun. There's not many things. There's not many sporting events where the group chat gets going and is this excited about it.
Oh, it's good. And it's just a tradition. I think it means we're coming out of winter a little bit. A lot of people maybe shooting off to spring break the following week. It's turning. The worm is turning. Yeah. And the
ODRs are dead. Hockey's over.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, though. It's, we're coming out of it. It'll be a fun day. I'm going to try to do the full Thursday experience as well. And it looks like a pretty wide open field. We have a couple great guests today. With Calvin Simpson. Did I have that right? Coach of no, not right. No, what's his name? We can fix that. What's his name?
Just start it over right now. Be like, we got a good guest today, Calvin Simon.
Remember that.
Have that be the first promo.
Cut that thing. Do you like state hockey? Do you like high school hockey?
Love it. This is the greatest day ever. What's our guest name again?
O.J.
Simpson. What? Now I don't even remember.
Calvin Simon.
As it relates to high school hockey, two great guests today. We got Calvin Simon, head coach of Shakopee, the Dream Staters, and Mike Snee with the Wild Foundation doing the Skate It Forward initiative to protect this community hockey that we all love. So that should be good. But should we start with a little wild? Like I thoroughly enjoyed the victory over Boston. We had a discussion before we went on the air where you said it was a relief to get the win. I would totally agree with that. But I am in the mode right now with all these injuries. We get an overtime point. We get a 2-pointer it is worth its weight in
Yeah.
gold. Deposit that in the bank. Bridge yourself through this dicey period with all these guys out, and please, please, please get us some playoff hockey.
Yeah, and what we were talking about is John was like that was a huge win against Boston on Sunday. I was like, it kind of felt like more like a relief win. Like the pressure cooker had started to fill up, and all of a sudden you hear, whoo, and there was like a little pressure relief. That's what that win felt like. And when you win it 1-0, man, sometimes those wins can be taxing mentally too. So the hope is that the guys can kind of break through and think about when the last time there was like a comfortable 4-1 kind of win.
No, not happening. And
I mean, it was before the break.
yeah, and I think my most viewed page is on the NHL app, and it's just the standings. And I'm just constantly doing the math between the kind of the team out of the playoffs and us. Right now it's 9 points. I'm always looking at the streak, STRK. You know, we were 3 losses in a row, and I was looking at the teams down at the bubble, and they were winning. And so, yeah, to get that in regulation, the full 2 points, kind of a mash unit on both sides, right? We're missing all of these guys, right? Kirill, Brodin, Hartman, Eck, you know, and then Boston, no McAvoy, no Marchand. I think TNT was basically rolling their eyes like, welcome to, you know, the second exhibition game of the NHL season, because no one was really in the lineup from a sort of star power standpoint. But Gus gets a shutout.
That's probably the biggest thing coming out of that.
It's great. And, you know, Freddie, JoJo, Zook kind of do a little bing, bing, bing for the 1 goal. Yeah, Gus played well. You know, they outshot us. He was dialed. And to get those 2 points on Sunday, it seems like we always play Boston at home around this sort of St. Patrick's Day sort of time. So I'm sure the people that were there had some fun. Foligno, I think, took it upon himself to be like, all right, so there's some guys out of the lineup. It's still a hockey game. And they had that weird scrap. I'd never seen a little Tasmanian devil spinorama.
Sure, yeah.
I think he kind of won it because it's so valuable to get that last punch and then just kind of fall on the guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a big win, all considered.
I think you look at those fights and it tells you something too. So let's go back to the streak and when the last time the Wild had a comfortable win. And let's just go back
when was that?
to February 1, and we'll have to go further back. But they lose 6-0 to Ottawa, and then they lose 3-rip to Boston. They come home against Carolina, win 2-1, right? 2-1, low scoring affair. Then all of a sudden they get this win against the Islanders just before the break. But even that wasn't comfortable. They win at 6-3, but they were down 3-1, and they had to battle back, score 5 unanswered to win it. And that was maybe the last time where you, like, at the end of the game, you're like, oh, good. But that game wasn't without stress. Like 30 minutes of it, it felt like, oh boy, they need to find a way to win this one. Come out of the break, get a late goal against Detroit, then win it in overtime. And from then, it's lose 6-1 or 3-2 to Detroit at home, lose 6-1 to Utah, lose 5-2 to Colorado, and then you get a 1-0 win from Boston. So it's like the whole month of February was stress. Even though they had 2 weeks off, it's like, when was the last time they were able to just be like, okay, we've got this game 4-1, and back to Marcus Foligno and even Jake Middleton fighting, those aren't fights they take.
Oh,
if
Middleton.
they're winning these games 4-1, they're laughing in the face of those guys. But what those illustrate to me is that the guys that have roles and role players are starting to have to really show that they're playing their role, they're doing their job, and doing the job to their best of their abilities because they're fighting through something right now. And kudos to both of those guys for trying to create a spark, for doing those things. Because it really does make a difference. It can turn things around. But I think right now offensively, and with good reason, the Wild are fighting it. They're without Eck. They're without Kaprizov. You've got Brodin out, who's obviously a great puck mover. Ryan Hartman, who would help quite a bit. And you look at the other moves that were made. Bill Guerin goes out and gets Gus Nyquist, and it's before the deadline. I think he recognizes my team needs like a shot in the arm. Just something needs to change, some type of spark. And I think the hope was that Gustav Nyquist, a trade, some addition, like, hey, the cavalry is coming. Here's a little help right now. I think it helped.
Yeah, and he flashed a couple times yesterday. He had that kind of fun push-through breakaway. I do remember him when we played Dallas, and we kind of did our inventory on who are the playoff guys and the regular guys. I remember, I think he was good in that series. I remember thinking this is a guy that knows his way around. He's got the experience. So I hope he can help us and give us that kind of Pulp Fiction adrenaline shot to the chest, because they definitely need it. I mean, you look at, Faber 26-36 yesterday. I mean, he was out there all the time. John Merrill, like, hitting a bunch of people and running around, so I think, yeah, they're redlining, right? This is a very hard stretch. And I think, to your point, it adds up, right? We had this in years past where we would get off to these slow starts, and it felt like they were holding the 45-pound weight in the swimming pool for 2-3 months. Now it's happening at the end of the season where they built the great start, and they're just trying to hold on to the ledge, all the way down the stretch. So hopefully they get some relief somewhere, and pucks start going in the net.
And I think if you look at the season and how things went, the start was great. I think they overachieved, or not overachieved, but I think people thought that they were overachieving. Goaltending was terrific. Both goaltenders, Gus and Flower. And I think that went a long enough stretch of time where you couldn't say, like, oh, they're overachieving. Like, Gus was just flat out good for a long time. The defense was good, and they were able to smother teams. They could shut them out. And offensively, they were scoring. Power play was good. The one constant that has been a struggle, I think, has been the penalty kill. But everything else has had their moments this year. And right now, they've got little going with that. And that happens from time to time. So I think, again, when it comes to the Nyquist trade and what's going on right now, it's don't hit the panic button. When you're good, these things are happening. Goaltending is good, the defense is good, and we can score. That's the recipe. But Gus getting the shutout, all of a sudden it's like, okay, good. Now, if you can get the goaltending going, even if you just have good goaltending, everybody starts to feel a little bit better. Like you calm down. You're like, okay, we can win a game. We get to 2 goals, we can win. And that might be the recipe until the big guys come back.
And you think of that Carolina game you referenced, right? 2-0. That is kind of our style, right? So even yesterday's win, a lot of the guys aren't in the lineup. Good goaltending, good defense, opportunistic scoring, got the 1 goal and got the win. I mean, I don't know that this is a team that's going to be the 5-4 winner,
no,
or the 6-4
and
winner.
for multiple reasons. I think that there's probably the talent when they've got the big guys to get to 4 and 5 goals, but I think there's just a commitment to the style of play that Hines wants, and now we have to give credit to it now because we did at the beginning of the year too. Hines's camp and all of the details and everything they said, the buy in and choose your hard. They bought into that, and now they have to continue to buy into that. And the score looks a little different, and it's not as glamorous, but 2-1, 3-1 win counts the same as a 5-4. But I think you're right that they're starting to realize that that's how we're going to have to win consistently.
And there was a bright spot in terms of star power yesterday. Matt Boldy's hair just was on. I mean, it was almost like a coming out party for his long hair. Did you watch it?
No.
I mean, Boston guy. He does the pregame interview. It's in his face. He's pushing it back. I think there were 30 or 40 different shots of him adjusting his helmet on the bench. I got to give real props to Matt's kind of kept that under wraps. We haven't seen what he's been cooking up there, but I'm telling you, he's ready. He's ready for the next battle. I don't know if it was a Boston thing, but it was pretty special. It was almost Harry Styles like.
Don't you kind of feel like he should be a California kid? Like with the flow, with the color, everything else, it's like
It looked
this guy is surfboard.
It looked awesome. And I think part of what he does is he just kind of throws it back. You never see it. And for whatever reason yesterday, maybe he knew the boys needed a boost. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to kind of show. I'm going to take the crock pot, get the lid off, and let them know what I've been cooking up here because it's in prime form. Also, the two guys, everybody that played in the Four Nations is basically dead. They're all dead. They might have come back and played one game, and then they're out. That tournament just destroyed.
I think I feel like it's forbidden to talk about.
It destroyed players. Like they're all out. Like now, knock on wood because I'm a Minnesota fan, right? Brock and Boldy. Obviously Eck is now hurt, but it's been uncanny how people are just falling after that tournament. And you talked about the Russian superstars that weren't able to play. The Washington Capitals had no players in that tournament. And you might be right. As we push down the stretch, the people with gas in the tank maybe didn't participate in the Four Nations. It's pretty interesting. So I'm happy that Bolds and Brock seem healthy, logging serious minutes. Boldy took a big hit yesterday, but and obviously Brodin and Eck battling through some stuff as well. But goes to show you play a tournament like that in the middle of the season.
You play hard, it catches up to you.
Yeah.
That's why you can't play that hard for 82 games. Like it's inside those guys, but it's just unsustainable. You can't do it. And again, that's why the first round of the playoffs is the best hockey because it's all or nothing. Guys aren't saving it for anything.
No.
And that's why it's that fast.
And then it's a war of attrition after that.
Right.
But, yeah.
It's who got lucky, who stayed healthy. But I think you're right. That tournament was such a success, and the NHL, I think, has done a pretty good job marketing it. But there's been some fallout with the health and with the stars across the game, and we'll see how management reacts to that kind of thing now because it really changes that. But
I don't think there's a lot of GMs throwing on their Four Nations merch right now because it took its toll. But that's what you get, if you want to see best on best.
But it was the best thing for hockey too.
Oh, I loved it, man.
It was the best thing for hockey.
I loved it, but
Maybe a small price to pay for each individual GM to have the game of hockey steal the spotlight for a week.
There's a month here that's weird because of it, and it'll sort itself out before the playoffs. But yeah, the teams that are able to navigate, get their players back. I think managing rest is kind of what you're talking about too. At some point, Faber might need a minute to relax. Boldy too. I don't know how you do that when you're fighting for every single point, but you got to take care of your boys too if you're going to have them wind up again.
Yeah, rest is a weapon this time of year.
Yeah, I like that phrase. I didn't know that rest is a weapon. I like that a lot. So we go to Seattle. Obviously, the state tournament's here in St. Paul. Sounds like Hartman's back for that game, right?
I think so, yeah.
That'll be a welcome. Just to see a new face in the locker room, I think will be great.
I think the team will be excited to get him back out there too. They'll get a boost from that.
Yep, bringing the Hart man to Seattle and then Vancouver. And then they run back here Sunday after the state tournament, quick dasher board change out in the middle of the night and hosting Sid Crosby and the Pens on Sunday. So, it's a little bit of a lighter week for them, which I think it comes at a really good time playing the 3 games, and there's a gap until they do that. But 9-point cushion. Hines is... You got to give Hines a lot of credit, man. He's established this mentality of this is not going to be easy, right? You got to choose your heart. And I think there's been numerous times during the season where you see them have to tap into that. They have to reach back into those messages and grind.
Speaking of choose your heart, I'm not sure that the kids chose this, but maybe a hard phone call and maybe a hard minute for Husnudinov and Liam Ogren, where they get sent down to Iowa. And I personally believe it's good for every kid to have to cut their teeth in the American League. And Husnudinov hasn't had to be there yet. Hopefully he goes down there and plays well. I think when it comes to him, there's hope that there is potential upside offensively. And the great part about going to Iowa is that he'll have a chance to be able to make plays. Like he has similar attributes to Vinny Hinostroza. But what he doesn't have is the experience that Vinny Hinostroza has. Like you see Hinostroza, he has an impact on the game. Like he knows when to be around the net, and he's not a big guy. He knows how to create space when he enters the zone. He's comfortable with a drop pass into space and leaving it for a teammate in certain areas. And it doesn't seem like much, but those little plays become big plays. And Husnudinov, I think, has that potential. Now he goes to Iowa, and he'll have an opportunity to not have the pressure of a 2-1 hockey game, of a game where, like, as a role player, you cannot make a mistake and have the puck go the other way because it ends up in the back of your net. You just cost your team the game. The hope is, I think, that all of a sudden he can find a little bit of offense, because if he gets that, his speed has been more noticeable. I think his confidence has. Now it's just play with the puck. So I think it's a great opportunity for him.
Yeah, he's visible. He's kind of an interesting player because it's just the points haven't come. But if you watch a game, you notice him. I mean, he's almost quick more than he's fast. Like he can close gaps on guys. He plays hard. So yeah, maybe he'll get down there and just kind of find some new things that he can't do at this level because he's holding his breath, like you said.
Right.
And maybe he gets, try some stuff.
Yeah. And Ogren, I think, he's coming along nice. It just feels like he needs a little bit more time. So he had 2 2-on-1s one in the Utah game, one in the Colorado game. First one, I think everybody in the building knew he was going to shoot it, which he should. Like, tight game. At that moment, it was a tight game. Go down, shoot. Love it. Next one, the following night, makes a pretty pass. Neither one go in, but both good plays. I think he's just a little bit of time away from figuring out and turning those 2 nice plays into 2 goals. And that's the difference between being an American League player and an NHL player, is finishing it, like scoring, executing in that moment. He made the right plays. He made the right reads. Everything was good. It just didn't go in. Now he's got to find that next little step. And that's maybe the hardest one. It's the finest mile. Like, how do you look deceptive when you're going to shoot to score? On your pass, how do you sell your shot a little more to freeze the goaltender, kind of thing? He's getting close. He's getting really close, I think.
Yeah, that'll be good to see. I mean, you go back to Eck and even Rossi, right? I mean, it takes players a minute to figure out what they're going to become. And they are young, and maybe that seasoning down in the Always Hungry League will help them. What do you think Billy does here trade deadline? LTIR is basically like this buzzword, right? It's all you hear, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Florida's going to do it with Kachuk, and it's the Mark Stone, it's the Kucherov, and I just am very curious. Because we're Minnesotans, I think we only talk about Minnesota things. So it's like the only players available to the Wild are Brock Besser and Brock Nelson, because they, and then we'll have 3 Brocks. It'll be great.
It's like there's a comfort in knowing that they'd at least accept an opportunity to come home.
But I don't even. It's like, what? Those are the only 2 guys, and who knows? But do you think that there is a big? We always said you wouldn't want to play poker with Billy Guerin. Do you think he makes a big move here, or what do you think happens? Trade deadline's Friday, about 2:00, I think. So.
What I think is that I don't think that they'll leverage the future. So I don't think that they'll give up the first round draft pick 2 years from now.
You don't want to see Zeev move. You don't want to see Yurov move.
Right. To get somebody that you can't get term with. So I think if there's a deal where they can get a player that has term, years, they'd move a futures piece. But if you can't get term, I don't believe that they're going to spend assets on a rental right now. And to use that, you reference the LTIR. As I think about LTIR, you wouldn't want to purposely, and not that this does occur. This is like the little secret that nobody wants to talk about. Could Mark Stone have come back a week before?
Everybody talks about it. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. And you don't know like when you're holding somebody out. You can target that end day of the regular season, and it might be a week or 2 before that the player is healthy. Moral of the story is, I don't think that you're going to get a player that's as valuable as Kaprizov or Eriksson Ek. And then if you hold those guys out, maybe Ecker's different, but Kaprizov has illustrated over time that he's not 0 to 60 like a Ferrari. Like he's almost like a diesel engine, he's a semi.
He's an ox.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time for him to get to full speed. So you wouldn't want to play cap gymnastics, use LTIR, be smart, get a $9 million player, and then have Kaprizov come back and not be Kaprizov, if that makes sense. I just don't think that you're going to get a $9 million player, or call it a $6 million player, without giving up a significant future asset or assets, and then it's detrimental to you even so in the long run, because they maybe aren't as valuable to your team as getting a Kaprizov or an Ek back as soon as possible.
That seems to be the message that Billy's saying as well. If we want our best chance to make the playoffs, it's Kirill playing, the last 8 games of the season. You're not going to get a better ad.
And I think about winning in the playoffs. The best, not only getting to the playoffs, it's winning. I think fans think about it that way. How do I get to the playoffs? Management thinks about it like, how can we win once we get there? They're like two totally different conversations. And can you win once you get there without some of these guys? And I just don't know. I don't think so. So it's like you need Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek at their absolute best to have the chance to win.
Yeah, I hope they come back. The Bosch Law injury report, right? We got a full house. We got Brodin, we got Kirill, we got Ek. I mean, we're loaded up. Hartman will come back from suspension. He wasn't injured, but it's those are some key pieces. I mean, really, if you go. I mean, you might say your best player, your MVP, and your best defenseman. I mean, that's a tough road to hoe.
Right. And thinking this Bogosian was back, so he missed the Colorado game because of injury, but they needed him healthy with Broads out, and they absolutely got him. But yeah, so timeline on Kirill, we still don't know. It sounds like it's longer than we thought. Eriksson Ek is week to week, so it looks like there may be a significant amount of time without him. Brodin, still don't know, but those are the hope is that's short term. Don't know though, but
Sooner the better.
That's tough sledding without those guys. But to be able to win games, again, that's where like you put it into perspective. To be able to win games, that's a big deal. But also you're right. Every point feels like, oh man, that's a big point right now.
I love it. I mean, I even yesterday, this is how big a loser I am. I'm like, God, if we just get to overtime and get one today, I'll be so happy. Because it's just, you can't get those no-point games. And you can't have streaks. That's why I look at the STRK and the standings a lot. You can't have the L3, no points in 3 games. That's basically a week of not advancing in the standings because there's just too many teams around that bubble. You want to stay in that top 3. You don't want to be staring down the barrel of Winnipeg, right? So, this is a very dicey part of the season, and we just got to keep finding that resolve that they built from camp. And, it's going to be next man up, right? You get something from Vinny. Maybe Gus all of a sudden contributes and pushes us forward a couple games. Hartman comes back, and sounds like they've been bag skating up for a month, so he might be flying around in Seattle. So should be interesting.
Right on. So big week with the state high school hockey tournament for our friends with the dip here. So what's the go-to springtime condiment or dip for our friends at Jimmy's?
I think I would go dill for the tournament. Keep it Minnesota. Minnesota's different. Our hockey is different. Our tournament's different. For whatever reason, Minnesotans love dill dip. It's a Minnesota thing. And Jimmy's is the best-selling dill dip in Minnesota. So, yeah, if you're watching it on TV, settling in for the Class A, the Class AA, I'd head over to the grocery store and pick up some Jimmy's dips and fill out your bracket, maybe a yellow highlighter, a green highlighter, keep track of how you're doing, and don't you be messing with my dresses.
I like it.
Have you constructed your bracket yet?
I have not constructed my bracket yet, but I do have friends that I will meet downtown that are good at constructing things. My boy Freddie Dean is one of the guys on the group chat that meets us
Oh, boy.
downtown for the state high school hockey tournament.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. And Freddie Dean happens to run and be the go-to guy with Wild Construction. Again, Wild Construction will take care of any of your exterior needs right now. The weather's starting to turn. So if you were within an area that had storm damage last year, you can check their website out. They have the resources and tools to see storms that came through over the past 12 months if it was in your area. If you're in one of those areas, do not hesitate to give them a call. They'll send somebody right over, get up on your roof, assess the damage. And sometimes it takes up to 12 months for that damage to show up. So don't sit on this and give yourself a chance at a new roof. And again, if you were in Cross Lake, Minnesota, or in that area for those storms, they've got crews up there too. So wildconstruction.com, check them out. They'll make it happen.
Freddie Dean in St. Paul, man, that's going to be good. That'll be a fun group.
Fun. So I've got to ask you, before we get into the state high school hockey tournament, the 10U squad wrapped up. Did you hear anything about this?
I have not, and I did.
You're gonna love this.
Okay, good. So this is a youth hockey. This will be we're going to sell this sponsorship someday, the youth hockey update. But okay, I knew how the 12s went down.
This isn't a good story, but it's a good story.
Oh, boy.
I'm so surprised you have not heard this.
No, I didn't.
I didn't tell you.
I was out of town though.
I didn't tell you on purpose because I was waiting to see how long it would take you to text me.
No, nothing. I was in Florida though. So
And I thought maybe you're like, because this crosses like the threshold where maybe you didn't want to text me about it.
No, I do not know what you're about to tell me.
We're in the section or the semifinal game of District 2 playoffs. We're down 3-1.
Okay.
Penalties are 4-0 in favor of the other team. What did I say? 6.5 minutes ago.
I like where this is going. So you got 4 marbles in one pocket.
Yeah.
0 minutes. So you're getting ejected out of this game.
I did.
Oh boy, did you put your foot on the dasher or what? Okay,
No.
So tell me how it goes down. You had to walk off?
Yeah. I'm not proud of this, and it wasn't great.
Oh, I knew it the second I knew it was not a kid thing. Okay, so tell me how
Well, it was.
Tell
So
me how it
this-
boils. Try to defend yourself.
Okay. So like I said, and the game was kind of nondescript. It was a 3-0 hockey game early on. We had to call our timeout in the first period.
Who are you playing?
Roseville Matamita, the Marauders.
Yep.
And they're the number 2 seed. We're the 3 seed. But so they're a good team. Was what I'm saying. They're up 3-rip. We got to call a timeout. We call a timeout, and we settle our girls down. We get 1 goal in the first period, so it's 3-1. Whole second period goes on, no scoring, kind of a stalemate. Halfway through the third period, referee calls a penalty, and it was a legit penalty, but they were 4-0 at that time. And the girl that got called is like, she works so hard. Like she could barely breathe. She's working so hard. She tripped a girl, and the referee comes over the bench, and which I also like. He presented the penalty at the bench, not at the penalty box. So I said, "What's this one for? Being too big?" And he goes, "Boom, bench minor." So now he put us down 5-on-3.
No, so I have a couple questions as you get. My brother was ejected from a game as a coach this year, and I asked him, did he swear? Because that's like I figure if you swear, your odds of going are higher. And then did you know the ref's name and were you using his first name and
No.
stuff? Okay. Any swearing?
No.
Okay, so I think it's hard to get ejected from a game if you don't drop a swear word.
I said, "What's this one for?"
Well, that's a bench minor,
What's this one for? Being too big? Bench minor.
which that's aggressive. But then how do you get tossed?
So then I said, now you're just trying to be a hero. And he goes, you're gone.
And you have to do the walk-off?
Yeah, I did the walk off.
Oh, man. So you have to, like, where do you go? Do you go to the locker room and just wait for the game to get over? Or can you, like, go over to the side and watch it through the glass with parents?
To be honest, I didn't know protocol. So I walked out and like the walk of shame right past everybody. There's a lot of people there.
Any comments?
No,
Any like
nobody would even.
Ryan Carter moments like, hey, this isn't the NHL. You didn't get anything like that?
No, actually, it was ironic. It was our fans started cheering. So then I was like, oh, like, what's going on here? Maybe they're excited coach is gone. But so no, nobody said anything. I walk outside. I go out to my car. I go to Quick Trip. I grab a water.
Oh, so you left the premises.
I thought that's what you had to do.
Oh, that's amazing. So you're just at Quick Trip.
Yeah, I'm at Quick Trip, and I call my wife. She's like, "What are you doing calling me?" I was like, "Well, I got kicked out of the game." She's like, "You did what?"
And then, so do you come back from Quick Trip with your water and join them after to do the whole post-mortem, like season's over? Or do you just like go home?
So I'm sitting in the car, and my wife's like, "I think they're gonna win this game."
Oh, they're coming back.
They kill off the 5-on-3.
Now they're playing for you.
They kill off the 5-on-3. They almost score. They score the next shift to go 3-2. A minute later, they score another one. 30 seconds after that. There's 4 minutes left in the game at this point.
So you're a spark.
They score 3 goals in 4 minutes and win it in regulation. The place goes bananas.
So you won the game.
They won the game.
Holy crap. Bury the lead. That's unbelievable.
They win the game. Now I'm sitting in the car, like talking to myself, like it's okay, it's all right. You got kicked out. That's terrible. My wife's like, can't believe you did that, but they won the game. And then the locker room mom and the team manager are calling me and say, get in here. They want to see you right now. And I was like, I don't think I can.
They picked you up.
They're like,
girls
that's
picked
what I
you up.
said. That's
yeah,
what I
they
said.
picked you up.
So I was like,
that's so cool.
I was
That's
like,
great.
I was like, I don't think I can get in there. I can't get in there. They're like, you just hide, like put a coat over your head. I was like, I don't think it works like that. It's not gonna work. They're like, just come in. I was like, all right. So I walk in there, and literally the greatest coaching moment of my life.
They're all hugging you.
I walk into that room, and they go bananas.
Dude, that's
Full
so
body flex, jump, cheer. Their faces are all furnace face red, like the sweat, like
cool. Oh man, I'm gonna start crying. That's
what
so
that's
great.
what I felt. I've never been hit with that before.
Coaching's better than
they
playing.
punched me right in my gut. I was like, dude, I just got booted from this game, and these girls turned this huge L of mine into like a huge W.
Yeah, they picked you up, brother.
How sweet is that?
What a great lesson. That's so cool. And then are you still playing or?
No, then we lost the next one.
Did you stay on the bench the
I
whole
was
time?
suspended.
Oh, you couldn't even coach the next game?
Yeah.
Oh, then you can blame your assistants. That's
That's why I said put you guys in a real tough spot.
like, oh, I wouldn't have done that, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, so
That's a great story. I did not hear about the ejection seat.
I thought for sure you knew right away.
No,
I woke up. That happened probably, I don't know, 8:00 at night.
What day?
I think it was a Monday.
Okay, yeah, no, I did not hear that. That's funny.
8:00 on a Monday, and by like 7:00 in the morning on Tuesday, my phone was just buzzing. Like, did you seriously get ejected?
Is there video of you doing the walk of shame? That's always a treat. You've been sent that 35 times, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to the girls for having your back. That's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to some more youth hockey. Why don't we bring in our guest here?
Well, hey, this interview is sponsored by Duke Cannon. Brand new package design for the Duke Cannon. Check them out at Target. Look for the big D. They got the body wash. They got the shampoo. They got the big ass brick of soap, deodorant, antiperspirant, cologne, all the goods you need to look like $1 million. Check out Duke Cannon. Work harder, smell better. Hey, we got an awesome guest today. Calvin Simon coming. What a year, you know. You got Hockey Day Minnesota. You got Dream State. You had a gauntlet just to get to the tournament, and now you're here. So welcome to the show, and how are you, Calvin?
Oh, thanks. Excited to be on the show. Doing great. It's been quite the journey and an incredible season for our team and our community, and we're just really excited and honored to be a part of the state tournament this year.
Hey, how have you guys handled the pressure? Because I feel like the added attention from a hockey day, from Dream State, that stuff can all be distracting, but it seems like you've done a good job getting the group to be focused on the task at hand and be able to execute when it matters most. And now you find yourselves with a state tournament bid. So how is the group, and how have you guys handled that pressure?
Yeah, we talk about pressure a lot. We have the adage, it's an old adage that pressure is a privilege. So I think it's actually helped us in the long run. There are obviously some stumbling blocks early on in the season and working through some of the challenges that come with, cameras in your face and preseason rankings and, just the natural pressures that come from that. But at this point, we've grown pretty comfortable with those things. And so my hope is that as the lights get even brighter now in St. Paul, this has all been a development and a learning experience to help prepare us to have a good tournament.
I want to get into your story a little bit because we did the hockey day stuff and we were able to get a camera inside your guys' booth, and the way you address the team, I think is great and inspiring. Loved it. So I want to get a little background on you. So you grew up in Shakopee, and last time they were in the state tournament, you were playing for them, correct?
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, it was my junior season, 2005. We were class single A, section 6. We were the 5 seed, and we went on a Cinderella story. We had a losing record going into the playoffs, and just battled our way through. We got incredible goaltending from Oli Hovde. Only let in 1 goal a game. We won 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. He stopped 90 of 93, and we found ourselves there. And that was 2006, or excuse me, 2005. I graduated 2006, and then 2007, our enrollment pushed us to Class AA. And so basically by the time we got to the top of the mountain and learned how to get to the state tournament in Class A, we shortly were then put with the big boys, and we're back at the bottom of a new mountain, and it took us about 20 years to climb.
Wow, crazy. So then your path from high school, you went on to play football?
That's right. Yep. And Concordia University in St. Paul. Accepted a Division II scholarship, an opportunity to play football and get an education. And it was a tough decision. I loved both sports growing up. I played probably more hockey than anything as a kid, just street hockey, garage hockey, outdoor hockey, but always loved football too. And, the process of juniors and just the options and opportunities. And as I understood it, it was just more appealing for me to start being enrolled in college and going down that path. So, I would have loved to have played college hockey if the Gophers and Lucia would have called. I would have done that, but that wasn't on the table for me.
Yeah, but you played football beyond college too, right? Did you make your way up to Canada?
Yeah, so it was a cup of coffee, or about a cup of coffee. The year I was draft eligible was the NFL lockout. And so this would have been 2010 into 2011. And so all the opportunities to go play NFL or any of that were already going to be an uphill battle. Plus there was no rookie camps, no OTAs, no real opportunity. So I accepted it. Took a contract in Canada in the CFL with the BC Lions, and did well, but not well enough to make the team. They have an import rule. You can only have so many Americans on your team. So the way the team was built, they decided to let me go. Of course, I was mad. I thought they made a big mistake, but they didn't. They went on to win the Grey Cup, which is their Super Bowl. And so they did their thing, and that kind of ended it for me. I didn't get a preseason game. I tried to do some arena football, ended up hurting my hamstring, and at that point, it just seemed like, again, another mountain of, I'm getting old now. There's a lot of other young talent, and went a different direction.
Do you have any Canadians on your high school roster? You still hold it against those Canadians for cutting the American kid?
Yeah, that's funny. No Canadians on the roster. However, our assistant coach, Brent Culleton, is a Canadian. And so, we give him a good amount of ribbing whenever we can about that.
Awesome. No, I love that. So how much did your experience with football, though, help you become a good hockey coach? Because I do feel like when I watched that short video of how you address the team, that it almost felt a little bit like there's football behind this message to hockey. Do you think it helped?
Yeah. I think this point in life, every experience I've been through has helped shaped, who I am as a man, as a husband, a father, and of course a coach. And so, I think my football experiences were great. That's a locker room of 90 to 100 guys. So you learn a lot about people in general. We had people that came from wealthy backgrounds, from poverty, from Los Angeles, Chicago, Florida, Texas. It was a real culturing experience beyond just playing a sport. So I learned a lot and had different coaches. You have over 10 coaches on staff, so you get to know them and learn different things from all them. And of course, I've also had great hockey coaches and hockey mentors as well. So not everything I do is football related, but there are a lot of things that translate directly from my experience playing ball.
Yeah, hey Calvin, I love kind of some of the sideshow stuff, the shenanigans, the rituals, and my understanding is you've got a pretty fun group. There was something going on with honey this year, and also with ice baths, if I got the notes right. Carter's a huge honey guy, so can I hear about whatever was the tradition with the honey and the ice baths and how that took place?
Yeah, I that's great. I know you guys knew about that. So basically, I try and find any way to give the kids a mental edge, right? Something that like empowers them to feel like they have an advantage over their opponents. And so it was a few years ago when a handful of the guys that are on the team now were in youth hockey in a AAA tournament, and I was helping coach that weekend. And we had a tough schedule. We had a late game and an early turnaround into the morning game. We had to battle through just to get ourselves back into the right situation. And so I went to the store that night and got some honey and brought it to the next game and kind of just used it as this little token of like, hey, I got some juice. You guys want it? This will help you score some goals. And really selling them on it. And they were not buying it. They were like, dude, you're crazy. And I knew I was crazy, but I really was just trying to get one kid to do it. And finally, one player did. He's not on our team today, but he was on the AAA team, Weston Schenkelberg, a good kid. And I was like, Weston, you got to take some, dude. Like, you're going to score a goal. And so he says, okay, coach. Takes a little bit of honey, and he goes out and he scores a goal. And it's just, it was perfect, right? Now the whole bench is like fish. They're like, coach, I need some,
Give me that.
I
Give
need
me
some
that
honey,
stuff.
right? So they all want some. And so that was kind of the idea of the ice bath. So now, again, we got a short turnaround going from section quarterfinals into the finals.
Yeah.
And you want to have your juice, you want to have your legs. And I know ice baths work. This was, a major practice playing football. After every practice, we'd ice bath. There'd be 10 tubs. We'd have, it was an event. It was an experience, and you felt better. So I know there's physiologically there's advantages and there's value to it, but also it helps their mindset, right? Like, I'm doing this thing that my opponent's not doing, and it's giving me this edge. And so I questioned them and said, hey, listen, if all it took to win a section championship was to take a couple ice baths, can you endure that for 20 minutes? And so I think when I framed it that way, they bought in. And so then the pictures started flooding in of them doing their ice baths. And now we've won, obviously our quarterfinal section, semis and championship. So the joke now is there going to be enough ice in the hotel for us to get the ice tubs? Because it's become a bit of a superstition.
Yeah, St. Paul Hotel or wherever you're at's going to be fired up. I did want to ask you about it. So when people watch your team, you obviously got some big scorers, Cooper Simpson, Carson, another Cooper. What's your style of play, and how would you describe, when you're at your best, what does Shakopee look like?
Yeah, we've got some dogs, some guys that can really play. They love the game. I always joke and call them penguins. They don't feel like whole or themselves unless they're on the ice. It's their natural environment. They're hockey guys. There's a couple of guys that do other sports, which is great. And I'm a big fan of, young kids, 10, 12, 14 and under, playing as many sports as possible. We're in the day and era of, a bit of specialization and locking into one or maybe two sports. And we've got a lot of kids that just do hockey now in their later teens and high school days. Our identity, we want to be a team that has the puck. Our mentality is it's our puck. And so we don't really want to give it up. And if we do, we want to be really strategic with it. One of the things that we've talked about and was covered on Hockey Days, we don't like to use the word dump. When we're putting the puck into the offensive zone, it's a deposit, and part of that is, when you dump something, you're done with it, whether it's your trash or the toilet or your girlfriend, like you're done with that thing. And so I sell it to them that way. They get a little laugh and a joke out of it. But when we deposit money into our bank account, we're just putting it somewhere safe, and we're going to go get that. And it's not anybody else's money. And so when we're putting the puck in, we don't want the goalie to stop and set it. So if we're going to rim it, it's got to be hard so it's going to get to the guy we're rimming to on the other side. We're going to cross corner deposit, then it's going to be because we want it to kick out to a guy who's going to get first touch. But we do have to, give the puck up, but we want to keep it. We want to have it, and we don't want to panic when we get it. And of course, the old school Shakopee brand is to play rugged, to play tough, to be gritty. And so while we have skill now, we don't want to lose our main identity, which is, to be hard to play against.
With your group, they've had a lot of camera time this year. I think they're aware of that. How much did Hockey Day probably help you and prepare you kind of for like what's going to happen here over the next week with that stuff?
I think it's great. I think it's going to be, another one of those mental advantages where, we've been through a lot of the pageantry that's going to go into it, right? Obviously we'll skate up to the blue line. That'll be a piece of it, but just all the rigmarole that goes along with before the game. At some point we'll play the game and then it's hockey, and then you just got to get through your nerves, and then you got to execute and perform. But I think Hockey Day helped us with that, even just getting our coaching staff familiar with what's best practices and strategies to utilize TV timeouts, and how to prepare for some of the things that come along with a televised game in a big event like this. So I think it's been great. Dream State as well has helped us just get comfortable in front of cameras and being vulnerable and being in the spotlight. So we're grateful today that we did those things, given that we did make it to state, and we know that no AA team has been a Dream State feature and made it before. So we kind of beat that curse and got that monkey off our back.
One thing that's so special about the state high school hockey tournament is all that stuff, is the skate to the blue line, is the pageantry. And obviously coaches, they're not going to take that away from the players. But do you have any guys on your team that might spend a couple extra minutes in front of the mirror getting prepped for that? Is there does the group have a plan?
Yeah. Well, right now we're halfway between, half the guys have bleached their hair, half the guys have not. And so I think there's some holdout. It's interesting. You win the section. We ended up having a practice on Friday, the day after the section championship. And then Saturday and Sunday, we gave them off. And so we'll go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I haven't been with the guys very much since then. It's been all the behind the scenes stuff. But I know, you're going to have, a couple of guys who are going to spend a good amount of time in front of the mirror. Carson Steinhoff, Zach Doctour. These guys are going to make sure their hair is a certain way. Cooper Simpson's going to act like he doesn't care, but he does, and he'll make sure his hair is looking just the way he wants, which is what it is.
I love that.
My experience with that is the teams that just let it happen, they do better. Like if you're ever that coach that's like, if you spend as much time worrying about your hair as you did the penalty kill, we would have won. That doesn't work.
It almost gives them something to focus on, other than the
free.
nervousness of having to play that game.
Yeah, you got to lean into all
check
that.
the first box. I looked good on camera. Okay, now let's go play.
And you get no rest for the weary too. If I got this right, you got St. Thomas Academy first game out of the chute. Is that right? So that is welcome to St. Paul. That'll be a fun one with all the boys in blue, or whatever they call their army, coming at you. Do you know a lot about them? Have you scouted them? Have you played them?
We have not played them. We did get them added to our schedule for next year. So one way or another, there'll be an in-season rematch following this game. We've watched them on video a handful of times just because we anticipated they'd be one of the contenders from their section, and we're very forward thinking. Our staff is very diligent. We love to watch video and break down our opponents and try and find the things they do consistent. They're good. They're very good. Their forwards can play. They've got some real ballers, and it's going to be a challenge, no question. I think the thing that we're most excited about is, they weren't in the tourney last year, and that we're not taking on the contenders in round one, because it looked like it might be St. Thomas, might be Rogers, might be Edina. And so nobody really wants to match up with Edina unless it's in the championship. And that's just respect to them and what they've done. But St. Thomas will be tough, and we're looking forward to the match. At this point in the year, everyone's good, right? And so it's a tough road ahead either way.
All right, Coach. Well, I tell you what, do you have anything else for him?
No, I just kudos to you. You seem like a great leader. I think the details and just the way you're approaching it is just great for hockey. And we're lucky to have a guy like you as a bench boss there. So thank you for spending time with us, and good luck finding ice in the hotel, wherever that's going to be. I'm quite entertained by that. So kick some ass.
I suppose I have one last question. Have you ever been, as a coach, kicked out of a game before? Because this week I was for the first time.
Oh boy.
Not my proudest moment, but it happened.
What's your true answer?
That's great. Never in a high school game, but yes, the one time I was kicked out of a game was actually a U14 girls AAA game, and the refs just were, I don't know, obviously I'm being critical of the refs, but they were letting the girls really play beyond the limits of how they were supposed to, and our girls were getting hurt, and it was ugly. And so it felt like I need to stand up for the girls right now. And so I looked at my assistant coach and said, "Hey, you're gonna have to handle the rest of the game." And he's like, "What?" And then I just went off on the refs.
So yours was strategic. Okay.
Until I was out, right? And
Yeah.
then grabbed the girls and was like, "Now go win," and then watch from the stands, and they ended up winning too. So
Really?
I think it was the right play. I don't know if I recommend it, but it did work out.
Gosh, I had the same experience this week. That's terrific, and the same outcome too. But no, thanks for sharing that, man. That was therapy for me. Good luck on the weekend and in the tournament, buddy. We'll be rooting for you.
Pleasure to meet
Hey,
you.
thanks, guys. Appreciate all you do, and thanks for having me on the show.
All right, see ya. Man, Kelvin Simon, he is an impressive dude, but almost as impressive as the one-stop shop that Cub Foods is.
Yeah,
How great is that place?
I think a lot of people are making those comparisons. It's Calvin and Cub. That's happening a lot.
CNC, baby.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, Cub has got everything you need. You got a lot of them have the liquor stores attached, so you can kind of do the one-stop shop. You can get your beverages, you can get your THC, whatever you need. Go into Cub, and they always have value. That's what they're known for. Whether you're buying bacon, and everybody's talking about the price of eggs, right? You're going to find the best deals, the best value, the best products at Cub. And they also favor small businesses, so they'll put a lot of local companies in there, get their first look. It's the best place. They're one of us. Check out Cub Foods. And also, they're going to need a lot of water for those ice baths downtown St. Paul. They'd have to beat St. Thomas first before they need to worry about that. But who could they trust?
I bet they could even find some Epsom salts, because maybe sometimes you soak in that stuff too. But our friends at Aquarius Home Services, they take care of my water. So if they want good, fresh, clean water, yeah, you certainly might want to stop there. I personally love the Connecticut K5 system, the reverse osmosis water right at the fountain. It's the only thing we drink. The kids won't drink water out of a bottle that it doesn't come from that tap. And then they also have the great softener downstairs. My wife continues to talk about it. I've got the teenage daughters now. They like that they have softer hair, smoother skin. My wife likes that the dishes come out spotless. They're a one-stop shop for all things water. Get your free water analysis. You go to AquariusHomeservices.com. Right now, they also have a deal. You can save up 25% off a whole home Connecticut water treatment system. Get that free analysis, AquariusHomeservices.com, earning the right to be recommended. 8.
That was good.
Thanks. Let's just set up the state hockey tournament, because there's a lot of juice here.
It's a great one. I think what people are saying, at least on the AA side especially, is it's wide open, right?
Is it wide open?
I think there's a lot of teams that can win it. And you typically that first day, sometimes you get a lot of 4-0, 6-0, 2-0. But there's a lot of really intriguing matchups, even on day one. You got, obviously, we talked to Shakopee, and they're playing St. Thomas Academy. Those are two heavyweight teams. Those are two kind of top 6 teams all year going head-to-head. You got Andover, Stillwater, the goalie from Andover now playing for Stillwater. So there's some I think there's some heat on that one as well.
Yeah, that one I heard. Andover started the year slow, like didn't get a win for a couple of weeks, and then they got hot at the right time, ended up winning the section tournament, obviously. And Stillwater's goaltender, who didn't play the start of the year, was from Andover, moved into Stillwater, so now they'll be playing each other first game in the state tournament. I mean, does it get any juicier than that?
I mean, that's a hot start. And you got all the seniors on Stillwater. You got the NHL bench with Zan and Vanek. Your boy Stalock is helping them. I mean, that is it's loaded for bear right out of the chutes. So there's a lot of kind of extra excitement on that one. I think Rogers Edina is a very fun game as well. I think that's the nightcap. And then Moorhead, I think, is just going to be a treat for people to watch these guys play. I got to see them a lot this year, and they are puck possession. It's almost like 3-on-3 overtime. If they win the face-off, you might not see the puck. Their power play is a Picasso. They pass the puck like 40 times. They only shoot when they're going to score. It is all the old men in St. Paul that have been to the tournament. They got on the list for tickets 30 years ago, and they've been going every year. this Moorhead team, they could bring Lou Nanny out of retirement just to watch this team play the way they play. So I think that'll be a treat. 0-8 in the championship, so that's another unfinished business story.
I don't feel bad about that because
We have the White Bear experience.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a little different. I don't even know
2001.
what number is that. 0-21 now.
well, I more mean my chance at the state tournament was 2001, and we lost to Moorhead in the first game. So I don't mind that they didn't close it out.
Okay, so you're still upset. They are
That
orange.
wound is not healed.
They're orange and black though, so that's good. But yeah, I think
The other orange and black.
wide open. And I think I love Hibbing making it.
Yeah, let's give some love to Class A because I don't think that these matchups get the attention that they probably
Yeah,
deserve
break
a
down
little bit
Class
either.
A for us.
And I don't know a lot about it, but you've got St. Cloud Cathedral, the number 2 seed, playing against Matamidi. And I've got an affinity for Matamidi. They're the neighbors next door. They're the other half of the lake. So I think I'll be rooting for Matamidi. You've got Northfield versus Orono, 3 versus 6, and Hibbing Chisholm, who we had at Hockey Day. They end up punching their ticket. They get to play Laverne, and that was a good group. And they can compete with with the double A schools too. So they just don't go out and mop up against teams that they feel like they can beat. They really challenge themselves. I think it's going to pay off. We'll see how the tournament goes for them. And then the final game is East Grand Forks versus Northern Lakes. And the thing I love about Class A too is that it can happen in the double A as well. But if you get a hot player or a hot goaltender, you can have one player be a difference maker. And Coach Calvin Simon talked about it. Like in the section final, their goaltender got as hot as could be, let in 3 goals over 3 games, and that's the difference. I think Class A, you get teams where you can have somebody just have an extraordinary tournament and you just go on a run. That's magical.
Yeah, and it's going to be great. I'd take it all in. I watch it all, and I do like. I got the soft spot for Hibbing. I don't know. The Bob Dylan movie came out this year. We got the kid with the little white thing in his nose at Hockey Day, Minnesota. We'll see what kind of status he's got with the hair coming out. So I'm kind of on a Hibbing, and I do want Moorhead to get over the hump. They play the right way, and I know they're the 1 seed, so that might be boring for people, but I think that they need some closure. All those guys that went back home to coach and are trying to bring it through another generation. I think they ran into Jefferson multiple years, and I'd like to see that one get done.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because now we've also got Mark Parrish, Mr. Jefferson, calling the games. I'm excited for that too. You've got Parrish, Clymer, Kevin Gorg calling some of these games. So some new guys getting a look up there. Excited to see and hear them do their thing. It's gonna be fun.
There's a hot take too that you probably know about as an announcer. Only 1 TV timeout, and a lot of the hockey people I'm talking to think this is a huge difference maker, because you can't ride your horses as much. Because they used to always get the TV timeouts, and so people were just running out the top line over and over again. So a lot of the hockey people are saying depth is going to win the tournament. It's going to be a much bigger deal this year with just the 1 TV timeout. It's going to be better, I think, for the hockey. And if you got depth, I think you're going to be able to ride through this with the 1 TV timeout. So that's something to look at.
All right, Kinger, we got to put our money where our mouth is. You got to pick one from each. This is a Pep's Original Draft House Pizza question. The only question that matters this week. Who do you think is going to win the state high school hockey tournament?
So this is like our official on-the-record picks
Yeah.
from Peps. Okay. I'm going Moorhead Spuds in the AA, unfinished business, and I am going Hibbing, Bob Dylan. I'm going with those 2.
I think I don't want to be the same. I'm going with Hibbing because I like those guys. Found an affinity for them on Hockey Day. I'm having a hard time going off that with the AA and Shakopee, like Calvin Simon. They're the number 6 seed. I think they got a shot. But I also like this story about Rogers, that they've got like this big, new kind of young hockey program. It's up and coming. I think they're going to be a powerhouse for years to come. I think this is the year that they break through and kind of say, hey, Rogers hockey's here. So AA, I'll take Rogers. Well, man, let's make sure we get our seats ready for the state high school hockey tournament. Get down to St. Paul. You can have your breakfast at Jimmy's in White Bear. I'll be down here letting her rip. So if you run into one of us, say hi. We'll be excited to see you. But before we go, we've got one more guest we got to bring in.
And the best thing about the high school hockey is it's about community. And there's nobody doing more for community hockey right now than Mike Snee with the Minnesota Wild Foundation. Skate It Forward, the new initiative. But we're going to ease you into this, Snee. State tournament time, okay? Yep. It's about to get electric down 7th Street here. What are you most excited about for this year's tournament in terms of doing it right, community hockey? Maybe there's some towns that haven't made the tournament before that are in it. Just as kind of the big-hearted community hockey guy, what storylines are you most excited about?
All right. Well, I say it every year that I'm as excited about this tournament as I've ever been, but I think I mean it this year with some of the teams that are in it, plus pretty much wide open fields. I don't think there is really a favorite that you can. I mean, maybe Moorhead on the AA side, but. So I'm going to go with this answer is on the heels of Dodge County winning the girls Class A championship and Laverne coming back. I've got this thing for Laverne. I always say that Roseau and Warroad had their first hockey game in Warroad at some point. None of us remember it, but there was a time when they didn't play hockey in Warroad. I grew up in Duluth, and growing up in Duluth, Hermantown was generally a pushover in most sports. And now people just think of them as this dominant hockey power, which they are. Laverne, a generation ago, didn't even have one kid playing hockey, and now they're creating this pretty cool hockey town. So what I'm looking forward to is the continued growth of communities like Dodge County winning in girls, Laverne making it back in boys, and some pretty cool things happening in southern Minnesota, whether it's Jackson Nelson captaining the Gophers last year. Brody Lamb, I think he's like second or third on the team scoring goals this year. Even Taylor Heisey from Red Wings. So long-winded answer, Southern Minnesota hockey. There you go.
Awesome. How about like Rogers getting in and some of these?
Yeah, first time.
Stillwater pushing through after the first time since the Spinorama.
Yeah.
I mean, do you make a day of it? Are you doing the double sessions?
A day. I do a week of it.
Okay, but like, are you?
I'm going to Gideo's tonight for the Old Timers Hockey State Tournament hors d'oeuvre party.
Okay, so you're on the train for the
whole week. Absolutely,
that's outstanding. What are some of your favorite haunts? Where do you like to go?
The usual. I think I'm a McGovern's guy. I think is my default. I'll end up elsewhere, but there's just kind of a feel at McGovern's. Although they've stopped making popcorn on state tournament game days, which is not good, but I'll still go there.
Well, hey, talk about Skate It Forward a little bit. I mean, this is you kind of launched it at Hockey Day. Very cool initiative. If people don't know, long-term agenda for the Wild Foundation to make the first year of ice time free for everyone in the state. Big, bold ambition. So how did you get into this, and why is it so near and dear to your heart?
Well, as we're seeing this week and all year long, there's a lot to like about hockey in Minnesota, all levels of it, girls, boys, whatever. So it's in a good spot, but it's not something that we should take for granted. The business of youth hockey is a growing business, and so we need to make sure that just hockey remains as affordable and accessible as possible. So it feels like if we can just always get more 5-year-old kids to play hockey, that most of our issues and most of any kind of threats are addressed if we just keep growing the sport and getting more families involved. So I credit the Wild for supporting this and being part of it and creating it and letting us create a philanthropic initiative, which is community hockey. And that's a cause now of the Minnesota Wild Foundation and the creation of Skate It Forward. And really, we want to raise money, reinvest it back into community hockey to strengthen and preserve it, and try to, at some point, one day, have pay for every kid in Minnesota to play their first year of hockey for free. We'll start off next year with a handful of associations, but hopefully that's the first step. The first stride towards within at some point in the near future, picking up the tab for every kid to play their first year of hockey for free.
And what is different about the recipe here? Because it seems like everywhere else in the country, it's turned into a business. It's about the bottom line. you're jumping on airplanes, spending 30 grand to play hockey. And we have a really different story. What are the key ingredients in community-based hockey?
Three things really. It's the community associations, so it's where you play when you're 8, 10, and 12. It's the high school programs that come after that, and then probably the most important piece, and certainly the least appreciated piece, is how we fund our arenas. Our arenas exist to serve the community. They don't exist as a business. They might be owned by a city, they might be owned by a county or a school, but almost every sheet of ice in Minnesota is owned in some nonprofit way, generally by the community. And so when you have that, the comparison I would say is we play our hockey the same exact way that everybody in the country plays their football. You play for your youth association, you play for your high school, and you do it on a municipally owned football field. That's how the whole country plays football. That's how Minnesota plays hockey. But for the most part, only Minnesota plays their hockey that way. So it works for Justin Jefferson, and it can work for hockey. And not can work, it does work. It works better for developing hockey players as well. So it's just something that we have that's really special, and the word that we keep going back to. But it's what makes a week like this so special is community. And you just rattle off all these different names of towns, whether it's White Bear Lake or Stillwater or Edina or War Road, and now new communities like Laverne and Dodge County. Hockey is so connected to where you live in this state, and it's pretty special. It's working really well, and we can't take it for granted.
The biggest advocate I would, or the greatest story I can tell about community-based hockey is that for me, hockey feels different than any other sport. Now, take that with a grain of salt because it is my favorite game, but I think this is also why it's my favorite game. Quick little story. My daughters wrapped up their season this year, and I've spent more time on their bedside the last couple nights consoling them, saying that it's not over. You know, they're still your buddies. You're still going to see them. And there's something about hockey. So, and this is why I like this program, because it will get kids involved. And once they experience a locker room, you're at the practice, you're at the game 30 minutes before, you're hanging with your buddies. The kids love that time before where they're free. They get out on the ice, they play, they have fun, they have their locker room time after. And then everybody knows, too, that hockey becomes about the out-of-town tournaments and the time at the restaurants and all the things that you do. My kids also play club sports, and I don't have to sit on their bedside when the club sports are over and talk to them about, hey, you know, you're going to see these people again. They're not crying when it's over. It can be a long hockey season, and it's at the toughest time of year where it's dark and there's a lot of other things going on. But the kids absolutely love it, and they love it because they're with the kids that they go to school with. They see them. They build a camaraderie. The parents all know each other, so they're all hanging out at the restaurants. They're having a good time at the out-of-town tournaments. And more than any other sport, there's a sense of community and pride to it, and I think that it's something like my kids, I think that they love that sense of the game more than they actually love the game. And as a parent, for me, that's more valuable than anything else they're getting out of the game. It's just an appreciation for people. And hockey has, I think, a unique way of getting people to buy in and enjoy their time together. And for me, that's worth preserving. And if we can get more kids involved in that, that's a massive win.
Yeah, and everything you just said there about your kids, you supported this piece of information that we have, which, unlike basketball or soccer or most other sports, hockey's challenge isn't keeping players playing it once they're playing it. It's to get them to try it. And so with Skated Forward, that's why one of the points of it is let's pick up the tab for the first year, because that's our biggest issue, is getting a 5-year-old to try hockey. Our issue is not getting a 9-year-old to come back when they're 10. Yeah. If we get them into the game, they keep playing the game.
Hey, Mike, what impact do you think with a young player, say they were a 10-year-old, and they watch their coach get ejected from a game? So say the coach was really giving it to the referees and got launched, bench minor, and then his subsequent comments got thrown out of the game. Do you think that's something that would maybe turn young girls away from hockey?
Let's be honest, the call was wrong. I logged into Live Barn and I saw it, and it was 100% right. Yeah.
The irony is the call was right. The call was right because the kids, they saw what they needed to see, they felt what they needed to feel, and boom, it was different. I do like when the
thing I expected you to say was, my daughter had the puck and someone hit her, and then you're in a different land. But no, it was just, this is a lunch bucket kid working her butt off, and she got a penalty. And but yeah, Carter, the girls came back and won the game while he was at Quick Trip buying water.
Well,
So-
Wally Pipp of youth coaching in Minnesota. So
That's right.
I don't know how many people get the Wally Pipp analogy, but
Hey, just to close the loop on the tournament, do you have any? I know you mentioned Laverne, but do you have any kind of? Are you into this Moorhead storyline, unfinished business, all the '90s dads going back?
Yeah.
They're a pretty special team to watch play. Is that one that you could circle and say, let's get Moorhead over the hump? Is that who you're cheering for in double?
yeah, I think so. They deserve it. How many times have they been to the championship game? Like
0-8.
7, so 0-8, 8
Yeah.
now. Yeah. So I love what they've built up there. It's I follow them on social media. I love their tradition after home victories of having the mites go into the locker room and high five. I mean, that stuff is so valuable to community hockey. So I would not at all be disappointed if Moorhead won, but I've got something for Shakopee, with just Dream State getting closer to that team. And anytime a player comes back, makes a statement. So you kind of hope good things can happen there. So it's tough. I'm interested in the Stillwater Andover game for probably the reasons that everybody's interested in the Stillwater Andover game. I guess I'll go with Moorhead because they certainly have earned that opportunity. But even sticking with that theme, Moorhead didn't start hockey until the early 70s, which may seem like a long time ago, but look what they've built up there in 50 years or so, and they deserve a state championship, and they just keep producing players. They keep adding to the culture of hockey in Minnesota. So long way of saying, let's go with the Spuds.
Cool. All right, Michael. Hey, I tell you what, appreciate you joining us. Love the initiative with Skate It Forward. Best of luck with that going forward. And again, appreciate what you do, my man. Thanks for joining us.